you know, you can talk about
Spotlight.
Teams in the league have already
Man,
half
scream.
teams in the league don't have the assets to get Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. Of course, you're going to pick the phone up. Let's be honest about how many teams actually have the young pieces that you need and the ceiling of those pieces.
Oh, they trying to make it look like Stranger Things on this house.
For Kevin Durant, now you're down to a handful, and then
On
from
Call
that
of Duty.
handful, Kevin Durant's got his preferences, and it sounds like the Nets are going to try to acquiesce to him and make it happen for him where he wants to end up if they can get back what they need. So now you're down to 2 or 3 teams, realistically, that have a chance to get Kevin Durant.
Yeah, we're sitting here talking about Kyrie Irving and
Forest trees.
and relitigating
Yeah.
who's at fault for the Nets and talking about Steve Nash and Kenny Anderson and Sean Mark. Like, forget all that. Kevin Durant is available to be traded. This is Kevin Durant, one of the 15 best players in the history of the NBA. At worst, a guy who was the front runner for MVP for the first 2 months of last season.
What you on Warzone,
The
dude?
guy Kurt said gave everything he had to the Nets. Played
You doing good on there?
played overtime, all that stuff when no one else around him was giving everything to the Nets. His trade swings the entire, not just balance of power, the entire structure of.
I'm gonna get on that how when I give my heartbeat sensor and shit.
Absolutely.
My guns up.
That's the main story.
Well, and we have used the word unprecedented several times because this is literally, and we're not the only ones who are sitting here going like this when this news comes down from our Adrian Wojnarowski. The entire league, the players are reacting to it. You even have Paolo Banchero, who hasn't played in an NBA
Paolo,
uniform.
hey, Paolo, I hate to break it to you, but if that happens, you're going to be in Brooklyn, bro. Sorry, I think, hey, listen, bro.
I'm the only nigga in this house.
Jersey on, because let me just express to you how this happens. Hey, Paolo, I like it, you my guy. I like it. But let me wake you up to the NBA.
Yeah.
If Kevin Durant is in a Brooklyn uniform, you will. If Kevin Durant is in an Orlando uniform, you will be in a Brooklyn uniform. That's the guy.
But I know that you appreciate irrational confidence.
Oh, I love his irrational confidence. This kid's gonna be. We all everybody's got their wish list. Yeah.
Every league's got an exciting thing that's happening to Orlando Magic since
The memeologists are going crazy on Twitter. They're going crazy everywhere. But ultimately, we got to sit back. But this is one thing I want to make sure that everybody.
Damn, we lost
understands.
0-2. Fuck.
So, because this has happened,
We gotta move together. Come on.
Yeah.
when you're looking at like all of these different moves and you're looking at different all-stars who's going to sign, everybody has to hold up because you don't want to sign a guy to a $30 million contract. You don't want to sign a guy to a $40 million contract. Domino.
Oh shit.
These are guys that you fill out your roster with, fill out your contenders. If you got Kevin Durant, everything is going to wait until that. And if the teams that do lose, that means they are not a part of the Kevin Durant team.
You know what's going to be waiting? It's going to be up for another 3 hours.
We are going to be here for another 3
Might be
hours.
longer than that.
As Kevin Durant is looking to exit New York, before we go to break real quick, our Tim McMahon is reporting that Jalen Brunson has made up his mind to sign with the New York Knicks. So
No.
Okay.
They made a big fuss about it.
there you go. On the other side of this, though, we're going to check in with our front office insider.
Dumbass nigga signed with the Knicks.
Exactly what is realistic? Find out on the other side.
Dumbass nigga. Nigga just signed with the Knicks, bro. This nigga's stupid. Nigga fucked up everything over here, bro. Nigga signed with the Knicks, joint. Nigga signed with the Knicks, don't you? The fucking Knicks. The Knicks, don't bug.
You're craving. Are you unique as you are? And with over 1,400 delicious snacks. Nuts.com satisfy everyone. Salty, sweet, healthy, or indulgent. Unbelievable variety. Unbeatable freshness. And right now, get free shipping on your first order.
Guys, help me understand something. If hair loss is one of the biggest insecurities men face, and it's totally treatable, why haven't you done anything about it? Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration experts, are here to help. Bosley uses the latest technology and science to give you your real hair back permanently. That's a promise backed by the Bosley Guarantee. But right now, they've got an incredible...
Fuck off, Mr. Too Many Bullets.
If you send that text down below, they're going to give you the completely free Bosley info. Get your also going to get a $250 free Bosley gift card. Guys, do not wait. Do not suffer the insecurity that I know that a lot of you guys are suffering with. Bosley is a solution for you at any stage of hair loss, which is something that I love. You think these guys are happy they went to Bosley? Guys, what are you waiting for? Go see Bosley. Send the text and get your real hair back.
For your free information kit and free gift card for $250 off, text LIVE to 642-642. Ask about the Bosley Guarantee. Text LIVE to 642-642.
I gained 63 pounds.
Did she say gain weight?
I gained 63 pounds with CB1 weight gainer.
That's right. Introducing CB1 Weight Gainer, the weight gain pill.
I've been skinny most of my life.
CB1 weight gainer totally changed my life.
CB1 Weight Gainer is a safe, effective, and patented weight gain pill.
I searched and searched online and I finally found CB1 weight gain. 3 months to gain 30 pounds.
I went from 150 to 175 with this 3 months.
All in all, I gained 63 pounds and I'm super
I look and feel better than ever.
Gain the weight you want or your money back guaranteed. Order today and we'll include the exclusive Weight Gain Guidebook. A $19.99 value free. Call now and we'll also upgrade your order to rush processing. A $6.99 value absolutely free. That's right. Save over $25 when you call or visit cb1weightgainer.com now.
I'm going right in that bitch. I don't give a damn. Went the wrong fucking way.
You're afraid. Scared. Times like this, we need to unite and come together. Nick, it's very hard to get around in speech with the noise.
Oh God, we're gonna die.
This ends here and now! How exciting. We're loving thunder. Peter takes it on some now. Peter to my hand.
Damn, I got my dumb ass head.
Today, Free Special is presented by Kia. Make more good in the all-new Sportage X Pro.
I don't look at myself as a savior,
Looking for the dagger.
but I know what I can do. You know who I am. I know who I am. You know, I'm Kevin Durant.
So let's take a look at Kevin Durant. Hall of Fame career timeline here. You see he was the second pick, signed with the Warriors, 3 seasons, 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs, just that devastating Achilles injury, but he really redefined, in my opinion, what you can come back and be from an injury that used to be thought of as career-ending, as catastrophic. He played 2 seasons with the Nets. And then the big one, why we are talking about it, our Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that he has requested a trade today from Brooklyn. So now I want to bring in our front office insider, Mr. Bobby Marks, and senior writer, Brian Windhorst. And Brian, I want to start with you here. Where do you see as feasible, realistic landing spots for Kevin Durant here?
The places that he is
Damn, nigga, my ass.
are Miami and the Phoenix Suns, particularly the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns have more options to trade. They don't have a star.
I'm killing shit on this
In
motherfucker.
the next 2 hours, they're probably going to sign Devin Booker to a $200 million supermax extension. He will not be eligible to be traded. And Chris Paul is not going to be traded. So what you're going to look at
Damn, I got hit with them
the
bitches.
Suns can put DeAndre Ayton in signing trade. And I believe that the timing of Kevin Durant's trade request is tied to the fact he wants to get himself to Phoenix. He wants to make open that possibility to sign the trade with DeAndre Ayton. He can start to negotiate with teams in about 45 minutes. And you also have some other players on that roster that would fit the criteria of what the Nets want. What do the Nets want? They want what Sean Marks described at the end of the season in the press conference that began
the move to all of this giant situation. They said we want selfless, team-first, available players.
Damn, trying.
None of them are MVP candidates. Like Kevin
I'm gonna get the other Call of Duty back too when I get my account back.
Johnson, you know, something around the
This all kind of better though.
all of their draft picks and draft rights going forward. It means that they could negotiate a bunch of draft picks and a bunch of draft slots. As for the Miami Heat, they have big contracts that could be traded. Guys like Kyle Lowry, guys like Jimmy Butler even. They have some young players that have interest.
I'm like, damn, this nigga ain't gonna die.
They have the ability to create up to 3 first-round picks. But one thing I want to point out, and Bobby can go into this in more detail because he knows about it. In any kind of trade with Miami and Brooklyn, Miami couldn't trade Bam Adebayo for Kevin Durant unless it was for Ben Simmons for a lot of complicated reasons. So think about that as you look at it. Obviously, a bunch of other teams are going to want to get in on it, but those are the 2 teams I am told Kevin Durant is going.
Okay, so there's a whole lot there. Bobby Lawrence, I want to bring you back into this conversation because can you make this work? What exactly will this look like? Let's start with the Miami.
Well, I think if you're Brooklyn, you would certainly want Bam Adebayo, but as Brian said, and as we talked about earlier, you cannot acquire Bam Adebayo with Ben Simmons on your roster because of the designated rookie extension. So basically, you would either have to move Simmons off or use Adebayo in another deal. I mean, here's your roster. Certainly, what does Jimmy Butler do for you? If you're a team like Brooklyn and you are rebuilding, does Jimmy Butler do anything for you? I don't think so. Certainly not Kyle Lowry. He has 2 years left. Maybe Tyler Hero, certainly rookie extension eligible. They've got 3 first-round picks. I don't see a pathway for Miami to get in the Durant sweepstakes because of the Adebayo situation unless Brooklyn is willing to trade Ben Simmons.
And what about for the Suns?
Yeah, the Phoenix too. I mean, when you look at their roster, Malika, we can go through Phoenix here. The problem is going to be DeAndre Ayton. Right? If Brooklyn is looking to rebuild, what is
Ain't no way. Fuck this bitch keep getting away from the
$140
bullets.
million of DeAndre Ayton? If I'm Brooklyn, I want Devin Booker. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Devin Booker, and I'm looking for Mikal Bridges, and I'm looking for Sam.
Yep.
Like, DeAndre Ayton doesn't do anything for me. And I know Mikal Bridges is a nice player, but I want star level for Kevin Durant, who's got 4 years left on his contract.
Bobby, you worked in the front office for the Brooklyn Nets for many years. Do you have a preference out of these two? One that you like more, one that you're more intrigued by?
Well, how can I give you a third team?
Yes, please.
Let's go to a third team here, Malika. Like, this is what I would be intrigued with. I'm intrigued with Zion Williamson. And here's what's going to happen in about, what do we got, 7 hours? When we get to midnight, rookies are
Oh my God, we're on
eligible
TV
to
for
sign.
7 hours. Bobby, don't say things like that. Go ahead.
Rookies are eligible to sign extensions. What happens with Zion Williamson in 7 hours? Does New Orleans hold off on an extension thinking possibly they can get Kevin Durant? Or do they extend him? And basically we can eliminate the Pelicans from the Durant sweepstakes here. It's going to be a fascinating something to watch, in the next 7 or 8 hours here.
Bobby, thank you so much. I want to bring back in our panel here because Tim Legler, I feel like I'm asking like one I know, this is a rhetorical question. Which trade proposal do you like the most?
Well, first of all, if I'm Sean Marks, I don't know what I'd be looking at to have any interest in even answering the phone if I knew it was coming in from the Miami Heat. There is nothing there that I want back when you're talking about Kevin Durant. Obviously, Phoenix is better, but again, your top ceiling cannot be DeAndre Ayton for Kevin Durant. Mikal Bridges is a really nice player. Mikal Bridges has a very defined ceiling in this league as an offensive player. He's primarily going to be a 3-and-D guy. He's got a little better off the dribble. He's never going to average more than 15, 16 points a game. So that's the ceiling. To me, that's also not appealing enough. It would have to include Booker, and based on what Wendy just said, doesn't look like that's going to happen. I love the New Orleans one, but I'm looking at a different guy on that team. I'm looking at Brandon Ingram. That's the guy that I like. Somebody accidentally said his name earlier. Either one works. Look, that's the guy I want back if I'm Sean Marks. You're talking, how old is Brandon Ingram? 25, 26?
Hard
He's locked up. He's locked up. He's a 24, 25 point a game scorer in this league.
Oh, that's a one-tap ass girl. I want this shit.
To build an offense around. And then you get more. He's 24 years old. In addition to him, you would get more. I think that Zion, if that's your crown jewel in this trade, to me, that's a risk for Sean Marks because of his injury history. Ingram is a proven top-tier scorer that can be a guy that you can run your offense through 100%. I'm more interested in Ingram and Zion, I think.
We're mentioning the right names now. The issue with what Wendy said about, yeah, of course, the Nets will love that Devin Booker and Mikal Bridges, but I keep saying this. Kevin Durant is going to have to go to a team that feels like it can win after they trade a lot of stuff for Kevin Durant. That's harder to do than it sounds when you're talking about trading the best young assets off the team. Kevin Durant is going to go to Phoenix to play with Devin Booker, and Phoenix is not going to offer Devin Booker in exchange for Kevin Durant. Zion is the kind of name I'd be looking at. Scotty Barnes is the kind of name I'd be looking at. And again, that requires a conversation with the Raptors, with Nigeria, with Kevin Durant. But you put Kevin Durant on those rosters in place of those players, those teams say, wait a second, we can win the championship this year. And that's what the league is about. You can talk about compromising your future, and it is scary. You know, the Heat even, like 3 first-round picks, unprotected, a bunch of swaps. That's scary. I don't care what team you are. It's also scary for the Hawks having traded all that stuff.
You know, by the way, all this is a moot point, it sounds like. Okay, let's just say the Pelicans got involved, right? And we're talking about one of these two players and a package featuring either Zion or Brandon Ingram. Well, for all we know, Kevin Durant just goes, hell no.
Right.
I'm not going. I'm not going to be happy there. Automatically, the entire trade talks change. So we don't even know if that's something that would even be feasible.
But I gotta
because
try.
these guys have so much power now to dictate where they want to go, or at least one of two teams go make it happen. Otherwise, I'm going to be an unhappy camper. And now you really run a risk giving up a Zion Williamson or Brandon Ingram to get a guy in-house that potentially doesn't really want to be there.
I think it comes down to how much do Sean Marks and the Brooklyn Nets organization value and where their value stands for as Ben Simmons, and what type of player do they see him being? Because you know we give Ben Simmons a lot of heat, and rightfully so, because the last time we saw him play, it was pretty damn bad. All right, we saw him play, it was pretty damn bad. But before then, in times when Joel Embiid was out, we watched Ben Simmons have 30-point triple-doubles. We watched Ben Simmons go for a 40-piece wing dinner spicy. We watched Ben Simmons look like a quote-unquote young superstar in the making. He's already one of the best defensive guys in the game today.
The 40-piece was mild, by the way.
Yeah, it was mild. Yeah, right, because they lost to the Utah Jazz. But it might have been spicy because it was against the defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, right? So when I think about that situation and Ben Simmons, it's like, okay, do we value him enough? Do we think we could build around him? And you have to be honest with yourself.
The answer is no.
No, it's no now. But like Ben Simmons not 25 yet. Like Ben Simmons is still young. Like I'm critical of Ben Simmons. But in all honesty, like, do we think we could see a better version of Ben Simmons? Hell yeah.
I hope so.
I can't
unsee what I saw. I can't unsee that. I just cannot unsee it. A starting point guard that refuses to take a field goal attempt in 5 fourth quarters in a 7-game series. Hands off for me when I think about what.
It's a no from me, dog. Rich, what do you say?
To go back at Ben Simmons, ideally, if he was next to KD and Kyrie, those guys will shoot all the balls and win you everything that you need to do in the fourth quarter. You don't need him offensively.
Yeah.
Now that those guys aren't going to be there, the way you look at Ben Simmons is far different, because the way he is successful, if he has a ton of offensive firepower around him, primarily shooting, those were the best two of the top 5 shooters in the world, you know, especially. So, like, you look at Ben Simmons far differently than you look at him now with the idea of those two guys being gone, KD and Kyrie.
Well, and
I'm high on them.
I'm just saying, like,
if I'm showing Marks, I wonder how
but the reason we're having even these conversations about Ben Simmons is because of the domino effect of Kevin Durant asking out. Kyrie, as our Adrian Wojnarowski reported, is not expected to be in a Brooklyn Nets uniform. It would be hard to see that scenario. So now we're down to Ben Simmons. So when you're picking up the phone, Zach, New Orleans is one of those teams that you're calling. Is there another one?
I'm calling Toronto. I'm calling Cleveland. I'm calling New Orleans. I'm calling Miami. I'm calling all these teams. I would even call it the great wild card to me that doesn't really exist. If Michael Porter Jr. had been healthy last year, and you could count on him being healthy now, that is the home run fit. And a year ago, he looked like the kind of player that you would include as a centerpiece. But I'm opening up for the whole league, and I will. The last thing on Ben Simmons, I hate to say it, Ben Simmons is just collateral damage around all of this right now. Ben Simmons is not a huge priority. He's just sort of sitting there.
is what the last thing I was going to say, though, is when you look at Denver, yes, Michael Porter Jr., but you don't want to bring in after you've dealt with Ben Simmons, after you've done what you've done with Kyrie, you want to deal with people that's out on the floor.
Right.
You want to deal with people on the floor.
Well, we keep using the word domino because Kevin Durant is such a big domino. Now the rest of the league is going to be in a holding pattern to see what happens next. Still to come, though, on NBA Today. What does all of this mean for Kyrie Irving? We're going to dive into more on Kevin Durant and the impact on the other net stars. That's coming up.
Wait, there's other net stars?
Life is all about trying new things, or old things in new ways, or timeless things in timely ways. So try Gold Peak.